Welcome to Pizza and Politics here on News 12. I'm Christy Reeder, and with me today, Democratic candidate Scott Stringer, running for mayor, the primary this month. Thank you so much for being here
Great
today.
to be with you. This is fantastic.
We're going to have a good time
This is
today.
great.
We're going to also eat. So we're doing everything safe here. We are both fully vaccinated, and we're sitting 6 feet apart. We're outside. We're doing everything safe.
We got this.
We got this safe. So, I want to get busy and get eating. So let's do this. Ready for some pizza?
I'm ready.
I heard that you like mushroom.
I do.
And you want to grab the slice, or
You okay?
we'll go at the same time, maybe.
Okay.
Why is this your favorite mushroom?
You know, growing up in Washington Heights, I think for an extra 15 cents you could get mushrooms, and that's how it started. Mm-hmm. Now, Mayor de Blasio said I should have a knife and fork. Did you bring that? No?
Get this man a knife
Yeah,
and fork.
I guess so can we just eat it? Do you mind if I just...
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Take a bite. Let's just,
Very good.
right? I mean, just like New York style, no
This
matter
is great.
what.
This is New York City Bronx pizza.
You're so good at folding. I don't know how to do the folding. Is this something that they teach you when you are like...
Yeah, when you're... It starts early. It's your first New York experience.
So now
We just need a mayor who knows how to eat pizza. I think that's what it's going to come down to in the next 3 weeks.
It might.
It might.
And people are going to watch all these shows.
And they're going to rank. And they're going to rank you. Right.
They're going to rank their pizza. Who had the best pizza? Yes. No. Pizza. For my daughter, she loves it. It's a great thing for the kids. Do your family? Do you guys like pizza? I see the commercial where you're all in the kitchen cooking. Do you ever make pizzas there?
So pizza's our default, right? Just order the pizza, right? And that's how the kids come home with. There's no cooking. If there's meetings, if there's mayor havoc, it's just get the pizza.
How has the campaign been going?
It's good. It's good. It's been crazy, but it's good.
A lot of pizza nights.
Well, as I told you, as we're sitting here, the kids are with the grandparents. So Elise and I are, no kids, just campaign, and it's been okay. It's been good.
Just adulting.
I miss them a little, but it's okay.
Yes, exactly. Well, I'll take a few more bites here. Feel free, as we're talking, and then when we wrap up, we can eat a little bit more. But obviously, a lot to talk about with the campaign and all of that. So I want to get to some of the topics here that, I'm sure voters want to know about. Something, you talk about campaigning, it being hard. You were accused of sexual harassment by a former campaign volunteer. This was, from back in 2001, and you have denied it. Could you please explain?
First of all, the person who made the claim, I respect her right to come forward. But from the very beginning, there have been inconsistencies in the facts. Those are not true allegations. And she was a friend. We had an existing relationship. Like all my friends, she volunteered in the campaign. And it's unfortunate, but the facts do not support what she says. And so all I can do is go directly to the voters and talk about something that happened 20 years ago. But look, at the same time, I think people want to hear about the issues in the campaign. What are we going to do in the Bronx about affordable housing? How are we going to educate children? And I think that's the focus now in the next couple of weeks. I've answered all these questions time and time again, and I'll continue to do so. But I think the real issues now are what's going to happen to the city.
And do you feel like it's hurt your credibility for the voters?
No, because people have a right and should be heard, women in particular. But you also have to have facts, and you have to come forward with verification, and that has not happened. So I feel very comfortable in telling the voters that this is not true, and I leave them to judge not just that incident, but a 30-year record of delivering for the city as an assembly member, as a borough president, as city controller, someone who's had, as the New York Times says, an ethically impeccable career. And so I'm very comfortable where I am. Look, things are going to happen. People say things. You have to look at them and come back and say, okay, let's talk about the facts.
Thank you for your answer on that. Let's talk about post-pandemic recovery now. So, as controller, you had told me that you know where the waste is. We had talked a while back. You told me, where the waste is, where the bloat is, and if you were mayor, you would redirect that money to help those impacted by the pandemic. So I want to know, where's the waste, where's the bloat, can you kind of, and what's your plan?
Look, one of the things we saw, look, my mom died of COVID, as you know, in a Bronx hospital at Montefiore. And I remember when she passed from COVID, the doctors saying to me, look, this is a virus that goes to the weakest, not just older people, but people with pre-existing health conditions, people in black and brown communities that were hurt very hard. And the reason they were hurt hard was partly because of government. We never tried to solve health disparities in communities of color. We've only made them worse. We've cited dirty diesel bus stations and all of these transfer stations that contributed to asthma and diabetes and all the health issues facing communities. So when I say how we're going to reopen the city, we can't open it the same way we closed it. We need to go to communities that were devastated by COVID in the same way my mom was, and open those communities and make sure that we end the health disparities, that we build real affordable housing, that we educate the kids of the frontline workers, because they've struggled the most. They've lost their moms and dads right here in this borough. And we need a mayor who not only understands the Bronx, but understands how to access the money and then get the programs done. There's no one in this race who's ready on day one to get that work done. And how I would do it, one, we're getting foundation aid from the state that's going to go to public school education. I have a plan not just on how we open the public schools, but how we do it in the way that's going to help the kids who struggle. And second, we need to make sure that the $6.1 billion in stimulus money is actually invested in the right way, so it's not something that's here today and gone tomorrow. Because stimulus money is here maybe for 2.5 years, so the way we invest will determine how well we use that $6 billion.
So all, taking, and yeah, any more areas of waste that you're, I'm sure it's just fascinating being an auditor of the city.
Well, look, in my tenure as controller for the 7.5 years, we've rooted out waste and fraud in every city agency. We've identified $1 billion in savings during the course of my tenure as controller, and working with the Office of Management and Budget, I was able, in the height of the pandemic and before, to refinance $2.2 billion in debt so that we could save money, $2.2 billion, because we refinanced at lower interest rates. And I'm proud to have played that role. I've not only identified savings, but I've actually initiated savings, billions of dollars. So no one running for mayor has the command of the city budget, how we actually save money, how we identify spending. I've looked at the Department of Education, which is a financial wasteland. We've got to take that money and invest in our schools. I've looked at agencies across the board, whether it's the Department of Homeless Services, where we're spending $3.2 billion managing a failed homeless system, and that spending is doubled in the last 8 years under this administration. I have a plan to actually finally solve the homeless crisis, and the way we're going to do it is we're going to do something very novel. We're actually going to build affordable housing for people who work in homeless shelters. 30% of the people there work. So there's a lot of ideas, but there's also a lot of experience that goes with those ideas. One thing in a mayor's race, people promise everything. I'll spend $1 billion here, I'll spend $1 billion there. You keep feeding me pizza, I'll tell you more billions of what I'm going to do. But as controller, you know the limits of the budget. You know every dollar counts. And you have to have a specific plan that has a financial part of it so you can actually execute.
I bet you're good when you sit down and do the bills at home.
No, I don't do the bills. There's someone better than me. Elise is the controller.
Me too, in our marriage. You mentioned some other things I want to talk a little bit more about. Education. When we were talking earlier this year and you were telling me some of your plans, your education, pretty interesting because you want to start at a very young age, basically with childcare and childcare under 3 plan. So kind of explain this.
Sure, this you'll find interesting because
I have a 3-year-old.
So this is NYC under 3. One of the things I give Bill de Blasio credit for was building out pre-K and now 3K. But we have to start at the beginning because education experts, science says that 80% of brain development in children are 0 to 3. And we don't invest in early childcare. And so my plan in NYC under 3 would triple the number of kids who could get affordable childcare. The goal is universal childcare for our city. And the way we do it is with an actual plan. I've identified the costs. I've identified where the childcare deserts are. So if you can afford $21,000 a year for childcare, which most people can't, even if you wanted to, in so many places in the city, there's no access to childcare. So we literally have to build out a system that's actually going to work. And no one has had that thoughtful plan. I have legislation pending in Albany that, if passed, would provide the seed money. President Obama has already made a $2.4 billion down payment on child care, so we actually may be in a position to access money to start building out over a number of years a child care plan that would close child care deserts, would do the funding so that we could have home care, but also care at centers, and it would revolutionize education. And this is part of what I want to do. 0 to 3, then 2 teachers in every classroom, because that's what the charters and that's what the privates do, and it's time to bring our kids back where you have that intense learning with 2 teachers in the classroom. Have a teacher residency program, because we're losing 50% of our teachers after 5 years. They literally leave the system, and we want to keep them here. They're our frontline workers. They helped our kids during the toughest times, and we need to build a teaching profession, because if we're going to have 2 teachers, we're going to need 7,000 new teachers. And I have a plan for that. And then finally, as part of our Zero Up plan, we also have to recognize that after school, it should not be based on a parent's income. After school programs should be accessible to everybody regardless of income. So if my kids get chess and robotics and athletics, because I'm a privileged parent, I have a credit card, 2-income household, well, why can't the person who may live in a public housing development or homeless shelter, why don't they have robotics and chess and athletics? Well, they don't, because it's a money issue. And public education should be public and free and accessible to everybody. So as mayor, I'm going to put $300 million into 2 teachers, $200 million in after-school programs. We're going to initiate a teacher residency program, and we're going to build out 0 to 3. This is a $1 billion investment that will transform how our kids learn to read, write, learn, how they deal with mental health issues, because post-pandemic, I don't have to tell you, this is going to be a major issue.
Mm-hmm. Another major issue, transforming policing. This is a big topic, and you kind of talked about this. You want to transform how we police here in New York City. So how are you going to do it? What are your ideas?
Look, we need to recognize that the crime is up. Shootings are up. We're seeing very dangerous spikes, and the way to deal with that is to focus police on what they're good at, which is finding the people who are the shootings. And that means we have to invest more in our homicide bureaus. We have to bring more resources to the precincts. Right now, when you talk about how we reallocate police resources, and everyone says, what are you saying? Well, what I'm saying is, right now, over many years, the bureaucracy at One Police Plaza has grown by 76%. It's now $300 million, basically, to just continue a worn-out bureaucracy. We should take some of that money and put it into the precincts. We should also redraw precinct lines. There are some precincts where you have a catchment area of 200,000 residents, and some precincts were 100,000. Why is that? That makes no sense. But as part of policing, we also look at prevention. And that's why I want to take some of these savings and move it into violence interrupter programs, mentor programs, how we can tackle gang violence by also working with the kids, providing summer jobs, making sure there are internship programs. Look, at the height of the pandemic, the first thing the mayor said is we're cutting summer jobs for kids. Now, why would you do that if you know that for many children is a way out? It's a way of education. It's a way of providing money, not just for the kids, but for the families. And so we've got to redo this. And we have some people who think that police shouldn't have anything to do with criminal justice. And then we have people who think that a badge and a gun and Giuliani Republican-style policing is the answer. And I don't think it has to be this way. There's a better way, an intelligent way. And that's what I'm going to bring to the mayoralty.
You mentioned affordable housing, and even seeing some of the commercials run, the ads that you have. We see vacant lots. So what are you going to do? I see them too. What are your plans for turning that?
If anyone's watching that commercial, I take the kids on a tour of New York City, and I show them the vacant lots, and we're running around, and they're like, "Why is Dad showing us vacant lots? Most kids get to see football games or basketball games. Our dad likes to go to vacant lots and imagine what they could be." So what could they be? Real affordable housing. That's what we need to do. That's what Koch did for the Bronx a generation ago. We need to build real affordable housing. We are gentrifying our neighborhoods on the waterfront here in the Bronx. We have to stop that. We have to remember that the people who built this community were the stakeholders. And now they're being pushed out because of developers who are speculating in their communities. That shouldn't be. We need to build real housing, not housing that is called affordable housing, but is really unaffordable. And that's what those city-owned vacant lots are all about, because we, the people, own those lots. Our tax dollars go to maintaining those lots. There's thousands of them. And I want to take the lots that we could use to build low-income housing, I want to give those lots to community-based organizations, not the luxury developers. I want to give it to people who understand the church community, the synagogues, the local civic associations. And let's keep the people who made the Bronx so special, made the city so special. And that's something a mayor can do on day one. And I'm the one with the specific plan to do that. The other thing is, we've got to stop building housing only for rich people. I'm going to initiate universal affordable housing. So if there's a new development, you got to set aside 25% affordable. Because 572,000 people, according to my office, are one step away from homelessness.
Yeah.
So this next mayor cannot be an incrementalist, cannot simply be a worn-out de Blasio bureaucrat. We need somebody who has a bold vision, the political skills to get it done, and the experience knowing where the money is, as a borough president, how you look at land use and zoning. And that's what I bring to the table as people have to make the decision of who they want their next mayor to be.
One more big topic before fun, quick slice time. Marijuana. So it's an interesting topic because the next mayor is going to be handling this big change with legalization, of marijuana. It obviously was a state issue, but you're going to be working with the governor on this, and that's we've seen the relationship with the governor and mayor, and you'll also be working with the state on this. So how would you help New York City benefit with this?
Well, look, the reality is that we are going to see hundreds of millions of dollars in new tax revenue because of cannabis, but we also have to talk about something that has to be at the forefront, and that's called cannabis equity. So right now, if the end of the game here is that the same big companies end up controlling the cannabis market, that would be a mistake, because I believe that we need to right some wrongs along the way. And it really starts with the punitive Rockefeller drug laws that put a lot of parents, dads and moms in prison for a very long time because they dealt with marijuana and the likes. And it was punitive, it was targeted to black and brown communities. So we need to create a pipeline to use the cannabis licensing to ensure that communities get the benefit economically of whatever comes out of that. And that's something I'll work on as mayor. We can't simply just let the big companies come in, steal all the licenses, set up a business. I think we have to do this at the bottom up. So many kids, grew up without their dads. Why? Because some governor put these onerous 20-year sentences that basically only a certain group of people, mostly black and brown people, got caught in. And people who grew up, in wealthy neighborhoods who look like you or me, this was not something that we as kids or our parents dealt with, even though our parents were smoking it just as much as everybody else. But there was a hold harmless in the white community, and there was jail for everybody else. And we have to recognize that, and we have to invest accordingly.
Ready for quick slice? Quick slice time? You want to eat a quick slice before we get to quick slice?
Go.
No, I know. I'm gonna have to eat more too. It's much. No, yeah, no. You'll be able to eat more. Okay, so these are just
great. This is just great.
Right? You like? Okay,
Yeah.
I know. This is my favorite pizza. When you said that, I was like, "That's
this is
weird.
good.
That's my
This is
favorite."
great.
I had to eat all the pizza too that these
This
candidates
is
are coming.
what a shame. It's all part of the job.
Right? Okay, so some quick questions here. Please give one-word answers to most. I think you can do. One word to describe your first term if you were to win.
Transformative.
First thing you would do in office.
Initiate the agenda. Affordable housing, 2 teachers in every classroom. Build a government before we take office, and then get to work.
Favorite sports team.
The New York Jets. I can explain. Joe Namath, 1969 Jets, right?
Oh, that's your favorite. Okay. Hey,
I've done everything I can with my kids. I bought them jet gear, jet pajamas. I've done everything, and I've been rejected at all costs. It's just, I'm alone.
What's your favorite Broadway show? Back when we were going frequently.
I've enjoyed going to Broadway even as a kid, but there's nothing like Hamilton.
I have not seen it yet.
It's a great. It's great.
I hope to. Is it too popular?
Yeah.
This is kind of a more complicated one, so maybe a few more words than a one-word answer. Close Rikers.
Close Rikers, and I was the first to say close Rikers. Look, Rikers Island is the largest mental health facility we have in the city. Think about that. A jail is basically housing thousands of people who need mental health services. And we're spending billions of dollars on a place that's literally collapsing. And where there's got to be a better way. And Rikers will close, and we will be better for it. But it's also the larger issue of how we are going to deal with the seriously mentally ill in our city. They're not criminals. They're people without their medication. They're people who have no hope, no home, and they are our people. And we have to devise strategies to get them off the streets, to get them out of Rikers, and to give them a safe haven for their own lives. And we are our brothers and sister keepers, and we have to recognize that.
You're going on a picnic in New York City, and you have to pick a park for this picnic. Where are you going?
All right. Well, that's
Or is that one you not want to answer?
I don't know. We have a
All
small
of them.
we have a we have a small park in where where I grew up, and it's called Central Park. But I'll go to Van Cortlandt Park any day. Okay.
Last concert before COVID, if you can remember, because I don't think I can remember mine.
I couldn't tell you the last concert, but
Yeah.
it's definitely a recital or something with my kids.
Oh, that's sweet. Your Mr. Softy order.
As now or as a kid.
Yeah, anyway, either or tell us both.
So now I go to Mr. Softy and I said, kids, what do you want? And I order nothing because I shouldn't. The pizza's enough. But pre those days, vanilla with a cone, vanilla sprinkles.
So if you're having a good week.
But I could do chocolate too. I could do the two, right?
Okay.
And the twirl.
Oh, okay. Wait, a lot of people do talk about
Yeah.
it too. Okay, all right.
The two is but those days are over for me.
My last question. Your last pitch to voters.
I'm ready on day one to bring the city back. And the way I'm going to do it is through my real government experience, my political skills, and my love for the city. And I have skin in this game. A 9-year-old and a 7-year-old that I want very much to enjoy the great diversity of the city, and I want them to have opportunity, but I also want every kid to have that opportunity. Kids in homeless shelters, kids in public housing. I want to be the mayor that's going to bring the city back, but I also want to bring it back for the kids.